Hello, I'm Chakrapani Ghanta. I'm from Hyderabad, India. I was the first. Is it okay?
Go on. Yeah, let's go on. Just start over.
Okay, no problem. Yes, I'm Chakrapani Ghanta, first cohort fellow from India. I'm teaching sociology in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, located in Hyderabad, in India. I think it's okay no? For introduction purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So what attracted you? How did you come to find out about India-China Fellowship?
From my school days, we have a great admiration over China and a great interest, a kind of interest to study China and see China and learn and know about China. This was, specifically for me, it was my childhood dream, in fact. For this dream also there is a reason. When I was in school, we used to get more and more information about China and Maoism especially. Mao was a great leader during 70s, 60s in China. In India, there were some Maoist groups, Maoist political parties. They used to propagate the equality, liberty, freedom, and a lot of other communist concepts. In fact, they have attracted me, and I want to see China how it will be. That was the basic first print in my mind. Later on, I know because after all, China is our neighbor, and emerging as a great force in the world, both manufacturing wise and consumer wise. China is playing very great role in economic sector, market especially. So wherever you go in India, and I traveled a lot of other countries also. Wherever you see, wherever you find something, it will be made in China. So that, the power of that manufacturing industry, that was the second attraction for me to see how they are doing all this and what is going on in China, within the China. Earlier there was a book that was reproduced in Indian languages, what is happening in China. And that still continuously it's playing its role in our minds and what is happening in China, because China is always a kind of hot, place for several things to happen, especially in Asian continent. So this kind of questions, curiosity, enthusiasm, no, it is there in my mind, and it is always making me to keep alert on China issues and China matters and whatever it. All of a sudden, I got this advertisement in Economics and Political Weekly, EPW in India. I felt, why not? Why can't I take this opportunity? Then I applied for this fellowship, and I got that opportunity to, be on the board, and I got selected in that. So I felt very happy, because I can realize, my dream, came into true. So I thought, just I can know more about China and in-depth, knowledge. I can get some kind of in-depth information about China. So that why, that is the basic temptation for me to apply, because it's India, China, and it's dealing with globalization and urbanization. Even this, this term, this globalization is very close to my heart also. Because I am I was a journalist for quite a long time. At least for the last 20 years, I'm writing articles in newspapers, especially editorials and open editorials and all that. So I read a lot on globalization and market economy and liberalization, and their influence on grassroots of the society and people of the country. Especially, it's. I mean, I'm a strong believer. This market economy is not helpful for Indians and Asians and all that, and it's definitely it's going to help multinations. So I felt, it's European American kind of companies that are getting rich, and local people are suffering. That was my opinion, and that's my opinion also. So both ways. One is, I can visit China and I can study more. I mean, I can learn more and I can interact on my interested areas, especially in my interested areas, in emerging areas like globalization, urbanization. This is also another attraction for applying for this fellowship. After getting the fellowship also, the very important aspect of this fellowship is, especially, being a teacher, I got a lot of opportunities to go on fellowships and all that. But particularly this fellowship it's a kind of more interactive and collaborative fellowship. No, just simply, I know in China you cannot do anything as an individual. If you go China, as a visitor you can see and come back, you feel good. No, nothing is wrong in China. But when it's a collaborative kind of thing, if you have a collaborative partner with you, and if suppose some supporting agency with you or somebody with you, you can interact and we can explore a lot of other insights also. This fellowship, the advantage with India-China fellowship is you will get a collaborative partner, and meanwhile you can work together. This working together is very fundamentally, very important, vital issue in the context of India and China. After 60, 70 years, Indians and Chinese could not able to work together, even government level, actually government. So, but at individual level, if you have a friend there to work with you and share with you, discuss with you, that's a very great, exciting kind of opportunity. So that attracted me, to go through this, go along with this fellowship. This, I felt, the excitement and also came true when I visited China. When Chinese visited to my place and we visited to China. During our residencies and prior to residency also, I had an opportunity to visit China from different corners, like 5 to 6 provinces, around 12,000 kilometers. It's vast, from Hunan to Hangzhou. So from one end to another end. This experience, and my collaborative partner, Yukuan Gua, also is along with me, and he helped me a lot. By this long travel and long duration of stay in Chinese countryside especially, I learned a lot. Their culture, their language, and their rituals and their practices, day-to-day life. Interestingly, we stayed in a Buddhist monastery also a night. Full night we stayed there, and next day also we stayed there. We shared food with monks, and we stayed with them, and we interacted, and it's a kind of education for me.
You stayed in a Buddhist monastery?
Yes.
What was that like? What was Buddhism like, being from India, because of course Buddhism is from India.
Yes. In many, several times we used to play some jokes to Chinese. Indians, once upon a time, Indians exported Buddha to China to create a harmonious society and peaceful society. Whereas, in turn, Chinese exported Mao to India, Nepal, and other parts, that creating a lot of violence. But being an Indian, my idea was, and earlier when I was, not seen inside China, I thought China is a strict kind of communist society. There will not be any religion at all, and no temple, and no churches, and nothing. But when we see the life of human, especially people, you can find a lot of religious spirituality within among the people. Similarly, we happened to visit one area in Sushant Banna,
Oh, wow.
It's very remote part of China. We have visited one small Thai village. In that Thai village, a small temple is there and monastery is there, where 5 to 6 monks, young boys and young boys, they were trained as monks. And people, they love their religion and ancestral worship, especially in China. I mean, because people support only that kind of small monasteries and training institutions and Buddhist centers are surviving in that part of China.
And you didn't expect to find that in China?
That I didn't expect, it's a kind of revelation for me also. I tried to explore, how this institution is surviving. And people were telling different stories. Earlier it was, the people of that part of China, they celebrated Buddhism as their way of life. And when this cultural revolution and other political developments, during that period, the entire temple was collapsed. They destroyed it and they burned down it. And there was no such kind of religious identities. But later on, after that cultural revolution and everything, people started building their own, with self-financing kind of thing. And they started rebuilding that, monastery. And people just voluntarily sending their children to become monks. No, it's a great, interesting development. And even urban areas, as I'm a sociologist basically, in urban areas also, especially in industrial areas and other parts where this Western influence is a lot, you can find a lot of lockets in their, religious symbols like cross or Jesus something. And in Shanghai or Hangzhou and in Beijing, a lot of Christian faith is developing, spreading. Though there is no well-built institution, church and everyday prayers, but people are always carrying Bibles. They're reading the words. They are following the tradition of Christianity. So like this, in urban areas now, Christianity is picking up. Similarly, in some rural areas, they are going back to their own religious patterns and the religious practices. It's a kind of a new this thing for me, revelation for me.
Coming from a country with so many diverse religions, religious practices that are tolerated, and with the tension with secularism, with the Indian government, is that something that you can reflect on between looking at the absence of state support, or that you might see in China, and then what happens in India?
Generally speaking, in India, secularism means not. I don't think we have perfect secularism. At the same time, there is no religious suppression. That itself, there is a bias. Being a Hindu nation, India, majority people are Hindus, so they may show the government and state, they have some bias kind of treatment towards Hindus. And some kind of, suspicion and everything towards other ethnic groups and religions. Similarly in China, we have systems are different, but the same kind of treatment and everything from regarding minorities and others. But the state is always in a dominant kind of thing. Officially in India also there is no religion, at least no religious bias, and we treat. The written word is everybody is equal. In China also same. There is no religion and religious bias and or religious this thing, but you have your own treatments, special preferences and treatments, and urban one kind of treatment, and ethnic minorities they have a feeling, and their cultural identities are losing. That kind of treatment and that kind of feeling is there. Just like Tibet and other parts where we can see now. So officially there may not be a religion may not be any religion in China, but unofficially people are practicing that tendency. People are practicing that religion.
Other than religion, are there other aspects in which, having gone to China and having spoken to so many Chinese
Yes.
experts and scholars and working with some Chinese fellows, what are some of the most striking things that you?
No, in fact, my journey in China, my travel in China, I started from, not from Beijing, from Suzhou. So I traveled many long,
From the most diverse,
periods, diverse and
diverse
ethnic
place.
minorities and culturally, socially, and everything. So I have seen, agriculture is basic, village, especially. No, during my visit in China and my traveling and my discussions with scholars and especially people, I've seen there is a gap between urban and rural areas. That's the first striking issue in China, what I have observed. Whenever you talk to a rural agriculture, farmer or somebody working in the field, he always admire to see Shanghai or some other city and their lifestyles. They narrate about the lifestyles of urban people and they are enjoying a lot, and they are sufferers. They feel they are sufferers. This kind of relative deprivation is very much in China. People themselves, they feel, oh, he's great, he's in good position. He's, like that. There is a clear-cut divide between urban areas and rural areas. This is the first. This is first thing I have observed in China. And the second one is, the spreading, expanding cities. In the process, government is creating cities and constructing cities, simultaneously destroying life, especially farming community and villagers and native settlers of the surrounding villages. No, people are, just they are thrown away, or they are paid some compensation to live, and or they asked to move from that place, and they are building huge cities there. So on the one hand, to create a better society, the government itself is damaging existing society and their livelihoods and life. This is very, challenging kind of issue for Chinese administration in future. Lot of migrant workers. And third issue, what we have observed is, lot of people they are traveling. When we just if you go outside the roads and everywhere, you find a lot of people just eating on the roadside and with cheap, less priced, low cost kind of thing. If you talk to them, they'll narrate their story, how they are struggling and how they're suffering. Just they're working for $200, $300 per month, and that to save little money. So their experience, they're taking this kind of low quality food and low quality living, low quality everything. So this migrant labor issue also, and we can see visibly, it is visible in China. You can see a moving kind of, you can just, if you go and see any bus stand or railway station, you'll find a lot of people carrying huge, this thing in their heads and, just traveling. Now this kind of urban migrant workers, that issue are going to become very serious issue for China next.
So has any of these issues that you've noticed changed the way you approach your own professional life back in India now that the fellowship is drawing to a close?
Yes, certainly. Basically this fellowship changed my perception over China. Earlier I got an opinion that everything is fine. But once I went there and interacted with people and then after that I started reading the material over China. Publications and research papers and occasional papers and different literature I started reading, what is happening in China. But I realized, a lot of destruction is going on, this changed my perception also. I mean, I'm not. I mean, earlier I used to say China is great country. I mean, they are practicing. I got an opinion, and I was in a feeling that it was a communist country or socialist country. But now I can say, I can tell you that is a typical capitalist country. So that sea change is there in my, my perception. Not only that, I'm writing, about China. I mean, I was a journalist and I have a column in my own language newspaper, Telugu. So I started writing, from first from the beginning and my first impressions. In my first article, I wrote, "Good or bad, it is people's China." But over a period of time in writing also, I can after reading over something and after understanding something. No, now in my articles also it's reflecting. The shift is reflected. I mean the shift is, you can see that shift. So China, after this fellowship and after going to China and residencies and interacting with my friends and discussing with other colleagues, definitely it sharpened my views and it's, in a way balanced my opinions, and I got a clarity, a clear picture about China. In that way, that helped me a lot.
And
Now,
what did your colleagues say?
huh?
Just can I ask what your colleagues have said about these trips that you've made?
Yes, even my readers and my colleagues also, they say, yes, now you are in right direction. Earlier you were, your ideas and everything was a kind of emotional. But after experiencing that reality, you will be balanced. No, in that way, this fellowship helped me to understand what is what and what is going on the other side of the border.
You felt like your views were more balanced. You felt like, do you ask different questions? Do you find yourself seeing things differently, also within India, when you start writing for Indian audience?
Yes, especially in India. I came from a human rights activist background also. So I used to address the meetings and cadre at different levels. Workers, sometimes students and others. In India, there is a lot of growing interest about China. As I told you, in the beginning of this interview, during 60s and 70s, every Indian, especially in my area, where that Maoist influence was there, every child and every boy and girl going to school, they know something about Mao and communism. Earlier, that was the only image of China. But now, China means lot of other, regardless dam or some business opportunity or some export-import activity and market economy. And every Indian village, they have Chinese China bazaars and made cheap goods. Now people starting knowing the facts behind their vision. So how they made cheap goods and how this kind of goods they produce and how they imitate everything. So this kind of debate is growing because in the market economy, everybody trying to imitate each other. So that is one aspect. And second aspect is, during the same period, Indian government started special economic zones, just imitating China, and they have started. This created a lot of debate over SEZs, overall India, even Goa, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, where I am staying. So everywhere this debate is going on. Actually, what is SEZ and what China is doing? This debate is, growing in the media and other places also. So when I write something on SEZs and when I write something on China experiments and experiences, yes, as you said, people are saying yes, now, this is right way to deal with China. Deal with, to understand the China. So like that, this is very visible change, I can say. A lot of change, in my perceptions, in my ideology. In my image, especially, at least, image on China. And there's a sea change, I can tell.
But also, I was curious in terms of other people's image of you.
Yes, definitely. Definitely, people are recognizing I started writing all these. I mean, after my residency and some readings and everything, I started writing in the month of August. And August to December, I didn't write anything. Just I was reading. From December to now, I have written 10 articles. I mean, other people. I mean, just I'm writing one for one newspaper, and the remaining newspapers are requesting me to write something for them also. And recently some women's magazine, they asked me to write a special article on change and women in China. Like this, I mean, people now they are identifying. I mean, they are recognizing me like that, and they are. I mean, earlier they used to feel no, he's biased, but they're saying now he's no, he's serious analyst. So that kind of change is there, definitely.
That's very good.
Yeah.
For the new cohorts, do you have anything you want to say to them?
Yeah, one thing definitely I would like to tell new cohorts, and especially Indian fellows, I mean, going to China. Interestingly, I mean, after coming over China, with that enthusiasm, I started learning Chinese also. And I joined in a school, training center in Hyderabad, and I have finished my basic level.
You finished your basic level Mandarin?
Yes. But because of lack of practice, day by day I'm forgetting it. So my advice to my Indian fellows is, if it is possible, better to take at least basic level program for 3 months. After that, if you go to China, at least you will be in a position to ask. You will be in a position to read something. You will be in a position to inquire about something. No, that is very, very important to, any China visitor.
So your advice is like learn Chinese?
Yeah, learn Chinese, at least at interactive Chinese, not, exactly Mandarin perfectly. But you should be in a position to find out, what is what. No, that will help you, definitely. And anyway, all the new fellows also, they are very bright and challenging. They'll do well. Other than that, I cannot, tell you anything.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.